It's right over you.
Hot pink.
Thank you. When is it going to explode?
I don't, no, I don't see one.
Might be in the I'll live. Stephen, do you have any?
He's missing.
Okay.
It was with this. Oh, I got it.
Thank you.
Hang on that one.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's planning board meeting. We can start the meeting with the pledge of allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to start off with introductions. Stephen Valenti, Laura Brazzi, Jeff Briggs, Bill Daniels. I'm sorry, Harvey, I wanted to call him Pete, but it's Harvey Teal, excuse me. Don Heckelman, Andy Gilchrist is filling in tonight for us. We're most appreciative of coming. We have Vicky Spring at the alternate desk, and we have Stephanie Volkman as recording secretary. And Harold is here tonight from town board also. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's your weapon.
Tell me that it's Debbie that I'm trying to get to.
Okay. From the meeting on July 5, we have the meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Any corrections, revisions, or any corrections or revisions? Can I have a motion to accept the meeting?
Motion.
Can I have a second? Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Stephen. All those in favor of accepting the minutes from our July 5, 2023 meeting? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Abstain.
You abstain? Okay, we beat you to that. We have 2 abstentions. Okay, we have 2 public hearings tonight. The first one is for Leonard Johnson at 18 Johnson Lane, Avon Park. Mr. Johnson is looking to accept that.
I supposed to stand up?
No, sir, no. But thank you for asking, though. I appreciate that, okay? Looking to separate 1.34 acres from his current property, and in order to give the property to that 1.34 acres to his daughter and son-in-law. There are no plans for building on it right now. Steph, would you be gracious enough to read into the record?
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the planning board of the town of Poston Hill at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, August 1st, 2023 at the Poston Hill Town Hall, 30 Davis Drive, Poston Hill, New York. 124 to review a minor subdivision application submitted by Leonard Johnson on property located at 18 Johnson Lane, Eagle Park, New York. Copies of the application and supporting documents are available for Poston Hill Town Hall and are available for public inspection during regular business hours. All interested parties will be heard at the public hearing.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, I believe that was an error. I should have had a vote to open the public hearing. All those in favor of opening the public hearing for Mr. Johnson and his minor subdivision?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you. Discussion by the board. Okay. Would you like to run a speaker? I thought I should first.
I think we're gonna end up.
Excuse me, I'm just trying to, I misplaced my secret sheet. I'm just trying to. Thank you. All right, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No.
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing A, public or private water supplies?
No.
No. B, public or private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
No.
Does a board member make a motion that the proposed action will not result in any adverse environmental impact and that therefore a negative declaration should be issued?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Pete. Stephen, thank you. All those in agreement that it would not result in a negative environmental impact?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Any further discussion or questions by members of the board? Does any member of the public want to speak in favor of the application? Does any member of the public want to speak in opposition of the application? Public hearing is closed. Any other discussion, last minute discussion by the members of the board? Does a board member make a motion to approve two-lot minor subdivision for Mr. Johnson?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Thank you very much.
Second it.
Laura, thank you very much. All those in favor of granting Mr. Johnson a two-lot minor subdivision?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you very much. Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very much. We appreciate it. Mr. Johnson, thank you, sir.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you again. You're welcome, guys. Thank you for coming in.
You don't change much. Change much, you know that?
He's still a baby, that's why.
Come on now.
You know,
He's making fun of my dress attire.
I'll see you.
Have a good one. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, take care.
Second item on tonight's agenda is Kevin Holohan looking for an SUP for his dog training, special handling service. And looking to put the facility on his 28-acre residence located at 28 Johnson Lane, Averill Park, in a separate building facility.
So on his property, a separate building.
Yes.
Okay.
Kevin, do you have some type of map or something for the board?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
That's what I'm grabbing right now.
Thank you.
And how much land do you have?
22 acres.
Okay, wait, I'm just curious.
Perfectly.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you guys, okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Kevin, is this building on your property?
Yes.
So are I mean, I can't understand, I guess there's no property lines or, so how do you define the property line?
He has a survey there.
So that was just kind of a blown up, not the scale map, just to give you a better idea where it would be located. So on the tax map here, bring it up. Essentially where the building would be is, this is the house, the building is right there.
Okay.
So if from the home to the property line, and down here, just to give you an idea, is where the horse barn is on 351.
Yeah.
So that's about 300 and something feet from the house to the building that is existing is about 100 feet. So there's about 200 feet of woodage between that building and then my neighbor's property, which is all wooded with trees.
So 28 acres is going down that way?
Correct. Yep.
What kind of dog training you're gonna do?
It's everything from behavior cases, so fear, phobia, anxiety, service dogs. I was just at a woman's house the other night, family's house, because their child has epileptic seizures. So training a dog to respond to the seizure and detect it as it comes on, the body gives off certain scents when you go into a seizure. So that kind of training would take place there. And then some obedience, and maybe some agility, but everything would be.
So it's not rescue?
No, it's for profit. It's not an animal shelter. There's no overnight kenneling, and there's no
kenneling, no
boarding at all. It's, part of the reason is my bedroom is right here and the kennel is right there. That would be the most foolish place in the world to ever put a kennel. And besides the fact that McMahon's had just left, you can barely see the building silhouettes, but it's way too close to our house and their house. That would, no. Sorry.
No problem.
If you fall on, you're squishing
Yeah.
That would be a problem.
And he figured, and if I'm wrong, here, correct me, roughly 60% of your work is done off property,
Yes.
and 40% is done. He has limitations as far as hours go, with minimal traffic. There'll be no signage, extra signage that will be put up, and no extra lights that will be put up.
And just on the diagram of the building, just to give you an idea. So there's a light that's over the overhead door here, and then there's a light on the side. So we have the horse farm here, and then where the McMahons live, And there's nothing better. So when those lights are on, this one is actually set, so unless you get close to it, it doesn't come on. But this light isn't facing in the direction of somebody's home. And one, it's not. And then secondly, even for like the McMahons, they're not gonna be able to see the light through the tree line. So it's not like a spotlight on a neighbor's house. And there's gonna be no additional lighting or posts or anything else put up for parking or anything like that. There's no need.
Is the building already existing? Kevin?
Yeah.
So you say there are two lights, one's over the.
One's on the door, because it's a pre-engineered metal building,
Okay.
under code, there was no specified code requiring lighting in certain spots.
Sure.
But knowing that I was gonna have pedestrian traffic, I made it like, if it were a building according to code in the town where lighting should be. So
And where's the second light?
it's over the overhead door, it's a large LED light that goes out, like a floodlight.
Small sign from the store.
Thank you.
Is the driveway big enough for two cars to pass?
Yes, the driveway is 13.6, so you can pretty much get two cars by. It's about a 3 or 4 inch lip. So if something should happen and we have to get two fire trucks, for example, or an ambulance, where it drops down to, it's a paper park ground, it's like concrete. So you could park one of your trucks, one of your logging trucks on it, and it wouldn't sink.
But just as long as two cars can pass, because now that you got a shared driveway and business.
Yep.
One issue I had. I need one of my log trucks, I only have one.
Okay. So, okay. Kevin, thank you for your information. If you could just do that up here for just a second. If there's any other questions pop up, we'll get back to you.
Okay.
All right. Officially, can we vote to open the public hearing for Kevin's proposal for issue P for the dog facility?
We open the public hearing.
Thank you. I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Would you be gracious enough to read? Thank you very much.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held at the planning board of the town of Poston at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, August 1st, 2023, at the Poston Town Hall, 38 Davis Drive, Poston, New York, 125, to review a special use permit application submitted by Kevin Mooneyhan for a dog training facility on property located at 28 Johnson Lane, Ava Park. Copies of the application and supporting documents are available at the Poston Town Hall and are available for public inspection during regular business hours. All interested persons will be heard at the public hearing.
Thank you, Steph. Would you like to read seeker? Public hearing. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan for zoning regulations? Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing A, public or private water supplies?
No.
B, public or private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Does a board member make a motion that the proposed action will not result in any adverse environmental impact and that therefore a negative declaration should be issued?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Pete.
Second.
Thank you, Laura. All those who feel a negative declaration should be issued? Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Carry 777. Does any member of the public care to speak in favor of the application? Does any member of the public care to speak in opposition to the application? Public hearing is now closed. Any more discussion or questions by the board?
What hours are we setting on this? Or did he request rather?
Okay,
Said I wouldn't work anybody after 8 o'clock at night.
Including Sunday?
Oh, yeah, I don't even want to work on a weekend as it is, so yes.
primarily during the week. Okay, and by appointment, correct? And sessions are a maximum hour long, is that what you said? Next question.
Do you happen to have a rescue dog yourself or any other dogs?
I have 3 dogs. They're not rescue dogs. We've got these single puppies.
Anyone else? Okay, public hearing is closed, as I said. Does a board member care to make a motion to approve the application for a special use permit for Kevin Holingham to operate this training facility on his property?
Well, but if I could,
Please.
no, this is a special use permit, and it's certainly within the board's discretion to attach reasonable conditions to the use. That's allowed, certainly with a special use permit. I know one question was hours or days of operation. That's the kind of condition you could set with regard to that. Entirely within your discretion. There's been discussion about lighting and use in the interior of the building, width of the driveway, emergency access. These are things that you could, again, certainly within the board's discretion to choose to attach those conditions. If you do choose to attach conditions, then they're enforceable throughout the term of the special use permit.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
I guess the questions I had were about lighting and driveway, both were answered. I don't know. If we-
And sign it, we also had a question on signage, and there was no sign.
I don't know if we have to attach that he maintain a light in the driveway. I don't know.
There are no plans for lighting in the driveway, do you want to light?
No, just to maintain, there wasn't any discussion about the fact that he has lights on the building. He does. So I guess that answers my question. I just want to make sure that it was well lit. I knew it was gonna be, but, so I don't know if that criteria needs to be listed if you want to. I don't know. You already meets it, so. Do you have any issue with maintaining a light outside the building? You're already doing it
No,
now.
not at all.
And that he's gonna maintain a 13-foot 6 driveway?
The driveway is permanent, correct?
Yeah, it's a bunker driveway.
Okay. And the light over the large overhead door is motion activated or?
No, it's a switch.
The switch,
Activated, yeah.
okay, which can be left on.
Yep.
Okay. And there are no weekend hours, is that what you're basically
No, there-
Sunday?
No,
No.
he doesn't.
During the day, but at no point weekend or weekday will anything happen there after 8 o'clock at night.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. So then we put a condition that the overhead light or the light over the overhead door be left on.
No.
The
No,
overhead
just that
now.
it maintained,
It's just.
I guess I'm in a weird spot here. Both the questions he answered to my satisfaction, so I don't know, are you recommending that we put in there that maintain lighting and?
Not recommending, I'm just going
He's
over
just
the fact
saying
that
that if you
you
guys-
have the discretion, if you want to condition the special use permit. You can choose not to, if you're satisfied with the application.
I guess since the SUP goes with the property, I would put that stipulation in there, maintain the driveway, because the next owner could decide all of a sudden wants to, I don't know, narrow the driveway or something. And that's kind of an issue for me.
You're correct, you will be operating a business, and you should have appropriate access,
Yeah.
including emergency access for the operation.
Which he does, but the next owner might
Correct.
decide to narrow
This
their
is just for
driveway.
the SOP, so it would go away.
Correct.
Right? If
No,
the Houlihan's were to move and close the business, the SUP would go away.
That's correct.
And so would
This
the
is particular
restriction.
to this
Strictly
business.
to Mr. Hall,
Right.
operation of this enterprise.
Yeah, but he
Now,
could
Steve
sell it.
is, yeah, Steve is correct.
He could
It's,
still sell it though.
it's for the business. If this
Yeah, he can-
property owner sells and someone comes in and continues the business,
Okay,
the special
I see
use
what you're
permit will
saying.
continue. It does run with the land.
So, I mean, he's allowed to flip his light switch whenever he wants, but there just has to be a light on the building and the next owner has to know that. It's a shared driveway, so it's important that it's maintained at that way. That's my own.
That agreement is actually in the, I think it was filed with the top notch because we're, Ed and Valerie live, we share responsibility for maintaining the driveway. So,
I figured as much, I just wanted to.
no, I understand.
Any other conditions that I'm missing?
operating hours,
8 o'clock or earlier.
8 to 8.
That's certainly fine.
I don't know, you're an early riser, you sure you don't want like 7 to 8?
Yeah, that's
I guess 7 days would be,
Yeah.
would be safe.
I mean, everything else in the town opens at what, 6 or 7? I'm asking, I don't know.
7, I thought. Yes.
I would do 7. Why constraint?
Any comment on that?
Hours of operation or
7 to 8.
7 to 8?
Is that acceptable?
Any other conditions?
I would assume what's already written there, that it's not a kennel or a boarding operation. I know he described that, but I think we should put that in the stipulation. That's already a hot button issue in the town.
correct, could be no overnight boarding.
Yeah.
This is a training facility, not a kennel. Not approved for kennel use.
Yeah, that sheep there, they're gonna have the wings up on them.
What are the limits on a hobby kennel? Is that over 3 or over 2? I can't remember. I know the maximum is 8, because I've got a hobby kennel.
I was gonna say, what is a hobby kennel?
We're not doing any kennel, right?
Yeah.
No,
No.
Jeff just asked a general
Oh,
question.
okay.
Just a general question.
But even if Kevin wanted to like mix the hobby kennel, like, that's not
That's
what we're
not,
doing here. Okay.
no,
But it requires a special use permit.
that would have to come back in and address that.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
I know you said like, and I've seen the dogs that have been trained for seizures. Actually, we were on an airplane and the dog sat right next to us because the gentleman had other issues. But with those types of dogs, do they just keep bringing them back to you every day? They don't have to stay with you overnight? No?
no, and actually, to that point, the facility itself would be used for, when it comes to odor detection, it's set up inside. I have the right equipment to set that up. And frankly, when you get into service dog training, most of it takes place at your home.
Oh, okay.
And where you're gonna be naturally, because, so if you have a son or daughter that has it, has a condition where they have seizures, it's your home, it's school, it's public settings, so like 98% of the work is actually away from that building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good question.
And we'll make it clear, this is not a hobby kennel. I'm just reading from the code. Okay?
Just for the record,
Hobby kennel is defined as any place where more than 3 dogs, but fewer than 9 dogs over 4 months of age, all owned by the occupant of the property.
Wait.
Are-
Yeah, go ahead.
are kept on premises which are occupied primarily for residential purposes, and where the keeping, breeding, and/or selling of such animals is incidental to the occupancy of the premises for residential purposes.
But he's got 3 dogs.
Yeah, it says more than one.
Okay, but what if they wanna get another dog?
Are they
Is
Well,
that gonna affect them?
It's for breeding.
No, it's,
No.
This hobby kennel, you gotta read the definition
Right.
in whole,
Okay.
and where keeping, strike that, and where the keeping, breeding, and/or selling of such animals is
Okay.
incidental.
I see.
So
Okay,
you're
right.
really breeding and selling as a
Right.
hobby.
What's the paragraph number? What's the citation?
I will give that to you. Oops. So this is within the land use regulations, definitions, section 150-4. And in there, they're gonna be listed alphabetically, so that'll be under kennel, comma, hobby.
I can't believe there's such a term as a hobby kennel.
Well, there is, because when I joined this board, that was one of the first things that they passed.
It's a hobby kennel.
And I have a hobby kennel.
Your particular code has several kennel definitions, hobby being one.
I just couldn't remember the lower cutoff.
Yeah.
All right,
I hate to belabor this. I understood the whole incidental thing to be that if you strictly spay and neuter, then it has nothing to do with the whole hobby kennel thing. But if you, is it like intentional or?
You know what, I don't know the answer to that, and ultimately the party who would interpret that is the code enforcement officer, who would interpret what that particular means. Yep, so that would be a good question for you.
Anyway, he doesn't want to kennel.
No, we stopped there. Motion to approve.
Pardon?
Motion to approve that and then
Okay. Does the board member care to make a motion to approve the application for special use permit for Kevin?
I already did, but I'll make it again.
Right, okay, I just want to make sure. And second,
Also,
and Pete seconded. All those in favor of approving the special use permit for Kevin Holman? Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Carried 7-0. Thank you very much for answering questions and bringing the information in. We appreciate it.
Don't forget your mat.
Yes, it is. No, I made a motion, then Andy kind of cut us off to make sure that we were putting stipulations on. So it doesn't- He cut me off, didn't let me actually make the motion.
Sorry. Well, you can tell because Andy's always like happy and ready to.
He doesn't let me flannels either.
Okay,
Did I
Good
really
night.
cut you off? No.
No, it was the right thing to do anyway, because you want to make sure that
to put
we put
stipulations.
stipulations on.
okay, next item in the comprehensive plan. Called Ms. Allen again on Friday afternoon, left a detailed message on voicemail. I've heard nothing back. Steph, have you heard anything? Okay. So we're still, and it's after July 31. I was hoping to hear something, considering when the time deadlines expired, July 31. But hopefully tomorrow or Thursday we'll hear something. That's what I have. The Shoe Heart situation is in neutral. They are waiting to hear back from their engineer. Their engineer has not had a recent conversation with Wayne Bonesteel, our town engineer. So that's my understanding of the situation is.
Did they get their archaeological?
They got the archaeological okay. There was no, despite what we tried to plant there, it just didn't, they didn't find it. Okay? Tried the arrowheads and so on, it just didn't work. Okay.
On TV.
But nothing, as far as I know, everything was approved by the archaeological, but we're waiting to hear from their engineer. Their engineer says it's going still. So that's what we're waiting on. Okay. Are there any other information, have anybody heard any other activity going on in town, or proposed activity?
We can discuss this now.
Okay, we'd like to go into a private session.
Are we gonna
What about
discuss
the
the
law?
law, or is this just informational?
Okay, no, this, all right, I'm sorry, Steve, excuse me. This is a draft that Amy was gracious enough to put together. We made a presentation at the workshop meeting this past Thursday. And this is a copy that I'm giving each of you to review. I disregard my stars and arrows, are just points that I want to make sure I understood and reread. But this is very important information and well worth our consideration. And modifications, input is what we're looking for from each of you after you have a chance to study it and read it.
I guess I read it a couple times. For clarification, is this eliminating the automatic 200% density increase for PDDs?
It would modify
It
it.
would modify it to allow 25% over the base density if allowed by the town board. If you're not in the water district, if you are, it says may establish the allowable density at its sole and absolute discretion. So is that allowing it above the 200%?
It would be up to the town board based on a particular proposed project,
I
right?
would definitely take issue with that.
And what I said at the board meeting workshop session, and what I'll repeat here is, this is merely a first draft. There are numbers placed there in terms of percentages. Even the whole outline was presented just as one option for the town board to consider to address the concern regarding density. Input from the board members should be made to the town board, absolutely.
Okay.
And ultimately, even the concept of how to address this is still in the draft stage.
I guess what's the best way for us to provide feedback, individually or as a planning board? Or together?
Let me suggest this. There's a formal process to amend. This was really provided, I think, for informational purposes. You can certainly, I don't know if you want to take action as a whole board yet. There's a process to go through to formally amend your zoning law.
Okay.
The town board would then formally send that to this board, so the whole board, once a local law is introduced in its proposed form for adoption. But certainly right now, if you have different ideas, either individually or as a board, we're not in a formal process as of yet. This was provided to the town board members for them to review and consider. Full disclosure, this was this board's memo to the town board raising the issue of density. The town board requested that I put something together. I did borrow liberally from another municipality that had gone through the same issue and adopted this approach for addressing density on a parcel of land, both in terms of number of dwelling units as well as proposed number of lots through subdivision. So this is one approach to address density. There may be others. Again, full disclosure, that municipality had worked with LaBerge, who we're reaching out to now to help on your comprehensive plan. That was the planning group that assisted that municipality in drafting this. So I've used that as a template and tried to address it for the town of Postingkill. I tried to go through your existing code and pick up those sections of the land use regulation that really dealt with density to try to cover them all. And so the concept of whether it's PDD, that's clearly up to the town board initially on what they propose to do to amend the law, but your input, I'm sure, is more than welcome with the town board members, even at this informal early stage. So long and short of it, Steve, individually or as a board.
I guess I would think the whole board would take issue with surpassing the 200% that was already allowed or whatever.
Right, and that could be
And that's, I wanted
drafted,
to start that.
that could be drafted with, if you're above the 25%, then it's within the board's discretion, but in no event shall it be above X percent. And that's something for this board to consider and for the town board to consider. The basic concept in here, just to give you some context when you're reviewing this, is how to address the number of dwelling units that would be allowed on a lot, or the number of lots that could be created through subdivision. Right now, as I read your code, it's simply based on total acreage of the parcel, irrespective of what the characteristics of the land is. This is an approach to take into account the non-buildable areas and take them off the board to come up with this available density factor. So if there were constraints on the land that would prohibit you from building anyway, the concept is you shouldn't be allowed to utilize that acreage to come up with dwelling unit or lot counts. Okay.
Following up on Stephen's question, who do we respond to? Are we gonna respond to?
No, not to make.
Chairman, or are we gonna respond
Well,
to town board?
There's no answer to that.
You should all show up
right
at the next
now.
town board meeting.
You certainly can. We're not in a formal process. As I said, I just provided this in draft form to the board in the workshop. They haven't even themselves had a lot of deliberation on it. They're in the same stage that you are, which is just reviewing it. I'm sure there'll be more work done on this. Once they're to the point, if they want to introduce the local law, then there's a formal process to go through, procedural process on amending the land use regulations. Then we'll be a little bit more formal and follow the procedure in your code. So right now, whether it's individual members to individual board members, we have one here this evening.
Harold, I want to see it capped. That's me telling you. I want to see it capped. There's no reason it should ever go beyond.
Filter your
200%.
comments through your chair. That's a.
Tom, tell Harold, never go.
Andy,
I just,
very much for
to
going
me,
into
that
depth.
leaves that wide open for, there's no good reason to deny someone,
Right.
except for your code to say that, well, we're allowed to deny you. I think that just welcomes a lawsuit to someone who wants to build a lot more pieces or a lot more units on a parcel.
Yeah, I think we've done.
Says there's no end in sight, I can build a skyscraper. And that's
You were supposed to go on that.
the exact opposite of what we're trying to do, in my opinion.
This is strictly a draft.
I don't want them to get so far down the road and then get annoyed that like,
Oh,
why didn't you
now
tell me
guys
2
are
months
running
ago
late. Yeah.
that this was a bad idea? That's just trying to get it early.
Right, that's why I'm asking everybody to go through it. And we can mention to the town board that we are in the process of reviewing it. And come our September meeting, we can take time at the end and put people's thoughts, proposals together, changes a little bit, and pass that on to the town board as our initial thoughts.
Okay.
Okay, just ask that everybody take time to go through it, and then come to our September meeting, that we bring it up again for discussion, set aside time, bring it for discussion, and make revisions accordingly.
The chart that you have, this is residential density factor. Am I missing something?
So, no, what your code right now says is just basically, you can have one dwelling per acre, one dwelling unit, or one lot per acre.
It just 4 times in a row says 1 dwelling unit per lot per acre.
Right, but that will fit into your overall table, and what's not there.
So
because
what's
there's no
not
amendment.
here is the other, is what's describing.
You're just putting in one of the columns. Those 4 are for different zoning districts.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's missing. Got it.
Since there was no change to that fully left column outlining the zoning districts, that's not enough, but it should be slotted in.
Right.
I don't know. Yes, it is yours.
Other comments?
Tom, do you want us to send you comments before the meeting, or you just want to have discussion next meeting?
Any pre-information, yeah, it's always appreciated, and we can share it. And we can discuss it at the meeting also. If you care to send it, yes, we'd love to gather it and
I don't
distribute
see
it.
why we have an objection yet to crossing. I've expressed one. I'm really concerned about using the parking lot as usable lane. Somebody puts up 50 houses, 50 apartments, and puts up 75 parking lots. That's the end of that use for that lane. And that's not good.
Again, everybody, please bring your thoughts together and we'll start. And we'll get this revised. Thank you very much. Anybody else? I'm not trying to cut off anybody.
June and I are really hoping to get this done, and we would like your thoughts.
And you will get them.
You'll certainly get my thoughts, Phil.
That-
That nobody has
no
any
shortage
doubt.
of sharing of ideas on this. Guaranteed. Okay. Any other ideas or any other comments, or anything going on in town? Just ready, but just double checking. For upcoming meetings, we have Don going to August, we have Pete September, and myself in October. Now we'd like to have a private discussion with attorneys' views on a topic. This is not an executive session, but it is a private session for the board members and our legal counsel.
This is a hint meeting.
Yeah, we'll just note, it's technically a private session to seek advice from counsel.
Do we have to close our meeting or do that afterward?
You can do either.
I don't know the proper format.
Yeah, you can do either.
Oh, you want me to go too?
I am. I'm hoping to save this.
Wait a minute, how about, you're an alternate.
I understand, but.
Yeah, no, you said so. You said.
All right. I don't know.
No way we want
It's
you
my
to
first
go.
time.
Sorry.
No way.
Okay. Wanted to make sure.
Save or save as?
Save.
Okay.